King Shaka, Ilembe, eleq, amanye amalembe, ngokukhalipha will be remembered in Umkhosi WeLembe today, also known as Shaka Zulu Day in KwaDukuza. So this day commemorates the famous warrior who united more than 100 chiefdoms to form the now formidable Zulu Kingdom. To help us unpack the significance of this, let's bring in Prof Musa Xulu, who's a historian and the founder of Indonsa Yesizwe Think Tank. The good Prof joins us via our vid link this morning. And it's great to see you, Prof. Thanks so much indeed for making time to chat to us. So let's begin by perhaps placing the kind of trajectory of this particular commemoration. I mean, those who perhaps are more familiar with the history will always refer to this day as Shaka's Day. If we go with what the government says, it's more broadly known as Heritage Day. How are you reflecting on, again, how this day has changed and how it's viewed, especially by the state?
Well, look, on the 24th of September 1828, Ilembe, eleq, amanye amalembe, King Shaka was killed by members of the royal family, the Zulu royal family, in KwaDukuza, where we are assembled today to commemorate that day. In 1928, King Solomon, Zulu, together with Reverend Dr. J.L. Dube, had formed Inkatha Zulu. Then a decision was taken in 1928 to commemorate this day because it was then 100 years. After that, this day was commemorated all the time. And in 1954, that monument in KwaDukuza in town was unveiled after Zulus contributed money, each family paying something towards the erection of the monument. It was unveiled by Chief Albert Lutuli. And then, of course, Umkhosi WeLembe was MC in that event, and the king at that time was King Zulu Solomon. And then, of course, since then, this day under KwaZulu homeland government was known as Shaka's Day. It was always celebrated, and we would assemble in our big numbers here in KwaDukuza. And then, of course, in 1994. When Prince Umkhosi WeLembe became a Minister of Home Affairs, he was requested by Cabinet to submit new holidays that would be observed in the new dispensation. This date was then changed by Cabinet to Heritage Day so that not only Zulus could commemorate it, but all of South Africa could commemorate the day. It has been like that since 1995. The first new Heritage Day format was formed in 1995, and it falls under the Department of Arts and Culture nationally and provincially, all of them. And then, of course, it's a great legacy of a king who, walking without a horse, was able to move throughout the length and breadth of what is now called KwaZulu-Natal, including parts of Mpumalanga, and the Free State, to form a new nation, which then became known as Zulus, taking after his surname of Zulu. And today, of course, in South Africa, there's and the diaspora, there's over 17 million Zulus, Zulu people, from the 500,000 that King Shaka had put together in 1816.
Yeah, you speak about the work done by Prince Umkhosi WeLembe, at least at the time when he was part of cabinet as a Home Affairs Minister. You know, part of what the aim of the Government of National Unity was to obviously bring people together in the midst of our cultural diversity. And the objective there was to ensure that there are also enough heritage sites built across the country. I wonder, in 2022, whether you feel enough has been done to at least drive home that message through these heritage sites, in the context where we've heard some of them, for instance, are struggling to stay open because of a lack of funding.
I don't know what went wrong. In 1994, that period of time, it was clear where we were going. In 1998, we opened, when I was Deputy Director General of the Department of Arts and Culture, we opened Ingome Museum commemorating the Zulu Boer War of 1838. Which formed the cornerstone of Afrikanerdom in South Africa. A lot of people made noises, which we still don't understand why they did so, because after that, the entire thing of transforming the heritage sites of South Africa died. what is happening now is that the heritage sites, museums, archives, etc. in the country that you find today are those that were erected by the apartheid government and the colonial governments before that. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. I saw yesterday, for example, the Mahikeng Museum is one of the dirtiest museums ever in the country. Why? Because there's no maintenance. There's no maintenance everywhere. I don't know what has gone wrong, but it's not very difficult to see what happened. Heritage is a very specialized field of activity and very intellectual in its nature. You cannot have anyone who is not educated in any part of it to hurt it. They will never understand it. I think that's what has gone wrong.
Yeah.
But of course, we hope for the future. The future is going to be much better than what we have today. When you look at young people today, the fourth industrial revolution, it's going to be much easier to capture the heritage sites and upload them onto the internet, etc. And I think that's what we should look up to. But as for the Zulus I think have, I must say, not because I'm a Zulu, but have shown the way in South Africa how to do it. By the way, happy belated birthday to our King Zulu, the only and undisputed king of the Zulu nation. He was born yesterday and became 48 years old.
Right. And that's an important statement. We'll touch on it in just a moment. But to be fair, we have various groupings in this country, cultural communities who managed to successfully preserve their culture. Perhaps the Zulu Kingdom gets a lot of attention because of its size and many other things. But what you've just said, affirming that Mr. Zulu is the only king on the throne, at least as far as you're concerned, is important because of what we've seen unfolding in the past few months. As far as you're concerned, are those disputes now finally put to bed? Because we've known very senior officials, or very senior members, I should say, of the royal family, had taken exception to Mrs. Zulu ascending to the throne.
Yeah, no, it's 5 people, it's 2 people, 5 people in the Zulu royal family who have exception to King Zulu. It doesn't matter whether they have exception or not. A king is not a king of the Zulu royal family, he's a king of the Zulu nation. Once he is pointed out as the king, then he becomes king of the Zulu nation. Throughout history, there has never been a king that was solely put in place by the Zulu royal family. So the nation, and that is what matters, as we saw last week and we're going to see today, when we had Umkhosi WeLembe, the Zulu nation came up in their numbers. That's what matters at the moment. The people at the Zulu royal family have a history of disputes. They like it all the time. And most of the time it does not make much sense. And so I don't think they will rest. I must also point out that it looks like the fight is not about the throne. The fight is about the Ngonyama Trust land, which has got lots of minerals. So you have people operating behind these 5 people in the Zulu royal family, led by Prince Mbonesi. There's people operating behind. There's a third hand that's manipulating this whole thing. So sure, they will not stop. But I think the Zulu nation is moving on now. As you can see, you will see even today when they start arriving here, mainly from Durban and around here in KwaDukuza and Mpangeni and all those places, Umkhosi, everybody is supporting this king. And of course, is moving on now to look at investments into the Zulu Kingdom. And investors are coming in their big numbers, real investors from around the world,
sure,
to look at what can be done with the Zulu, with the Ngonyama Trust land, so that the Zulu nation can grow. So nobody is worried about those 5 people, and some of them who make themselves kings in the Zulu royal family. I think everyone knows there's one undisputed king of the Zulu nation now.
Loud and clear. Professor Musa Xulu, thanks for your take. Really do appreciate it. Professor Xulu is a historian and the founder of the Indonsa Yesizwe Think Tank. Once again, thanks very much indeed for your time.